great things. Hey, it fixed itself. Back to good. What's going on, guys? Welcome to TK's Garage 405. On today's show, I'm going to be doing some project on my truck that I've been avoiding for a long time because it terrifies me, but it's finally gotten to the point where I can't avoid it. So today I'm going to be changing the spark plugs on this truck, which is normally a pretty simple task. Hopefully it turns out to be on this one, but this truck has 658,000 kilometers on it, so that's like 409,000 miles, which is crazy, and they've never been changed. When I bought the truck, I knew they hadn't been changed, and that was already a lot. Well, that was many moons ago, so it never caused any problems. So what happened was last week, I guess it was a few days ago there, I finally changed the air filter in it. We haven't been driving on gravel roads, so it just doesn't get plugged as bad or whatever. So it's been probably a year since it changed or whatever. And I guess I went down a few gravel roads not that long ago here, so I guess that was kind of what helped plug it up a little bit or whatever. Lots of road grime and stuff. So anyways, it just needed to be changed. So I ended up changing it, and then I could immediately tell it sounded like way louder, like the intake or whatever. So next thing you know, I'm towing with it, and it starts kind of like, when you get under load and it like quickly downshifts, it's like there's unburnt fuel in the chamber, so it's popping and banging or whatever. So hopefully that's all it is. I bought spark plugs and wires for this thing. I bought some ACDelco spark plugs and wires for this thing, so I'm not sure. I guess all this stuff is just getting manufactured wherever, but it's kind of, if you look at it there, kind of funny, but they came from O'Reilly's Auto Parts and stuff, and that's all you can get. This is the best you can get now, so you get what you get or whatever. So yeah, I guess we'll start slowly pulling them out and see how it goes. What I'm scared of the most is I'm worried that it's aluminum heads and it's going to pull the threads out, and that was one of the reasons I really haven't changed them. It also hasn't really needed it. It hasn't been acting up or anything. So, but it actually got to the point where the check engine light was flashing yesterday there. It was funny because it just started after changing that air filter. So maybe I'll even pick up some fuel mileage after this. Hopefully nothing else is hurt and it's just this. But like I said, it's got a bazillion miles, and this is a gas truck. Everybody's seen this truck. It's 2015 6-liter gas truck. So we'll see what we can do here. I'm going to start at the front, obviously, and I'll work my way back, and I'll change the wires at the same time. A lot of times the boots will fall apart on them or whatever, so I figured at the same time, if I'm going to go to the trouble of doing it, I'll just put new wires on it. So I've got ACDelco wires for it too, so let's get at it. So what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to disconnect the negative battery cable. If you ever take a battery off, you always take the negative off first. That way, if you accidentally hit it with the wrench or something like that, I'll show you here what I mean. If you accidentally touch the frame with the wrench, you're not going to end up shorting something out and sparking it out. And so when you go to take the positive off, again, if you end up hitting something like I just did there, it's not going to spark out because it's negative, right? So I'm going to take that off, and the reason I'm taking it off is because I'm going to leave it off while I'm doing this, and hopefully when I start it back up there, it clears all the codes, and hopefully my check engine light's been on for like at least 200,000 miles, probably 250, and it's been like an emissions code, so I don't know if that'll go away anyways, but once in a while it'll actually just disappear, and then usually within a day or two it comes back again, but we'll see, I guess, here. So I'm gonna start pulling apart the first one here, and then we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I did a little research. I was actually going to put a little bit of grease on the threads there, and there's a few reasons they say to not do that. I've always put anti-seize on them if it was something that was going to stay in longer term, but they say that it affects the torque, which I never torque them anyways. I just snug them my whatever they feel comfortable to. I know how to do it, I've done a million times, but probably should torque it, but I don't even think I could get a torque wrench in there, to be honest. I don't have a small torque wrench. All mine are huge. half-inch torque wrenches. The other thing is they say that the new plugs have a coating on them now, which is actually designed to be like an NACs, and maybe that's why they came out so easy. So they say if you put that on there, it actually negates the seizing properties. So there's pretty much just you're just fighting yourself by doing that. So I learned something today. I guess that's what all the YouTube videos kind of say. So I'm gonna go with that, I guess, and I'm just gonna put the new ones back in, and they come pre-gapped as far as I've ever known. So I guess I could check the gap on them, but I can pretty well tell again to look at them or whatever. So I will actually show you an apples to apples comparison here from the old one to the new one, just for the heck of it here. Like all these new GM plugs now, they've been like that forever since early 2000s. They're all like this iridium plug, at least all the vehicles I've ever seen. I know that they were rated for 100,000 miles. I don't, maybe the new ones are even, I can't see that going more than 100,000 miles, but you can see how the tip, you look at that one versus that one. So it gives you a pretty good idea how much is worn down. It's actually worn down the ceramic, which is kind of funny if you look at the actual height of each other there. So anyways, I'm going to get back at it and get some work done here. Hopefully get this done the next hour or 10. There's no problems. And we'll see how it runs after that. I'm just going to show you guys something. Most people that have been working on cars for any amount of time, they know this already, but a lot of the younger people and new people getting into cars probably don't realize this. So you can see I just broke one of the plugs taking it out there. I'm using 2 extensions on it because it makes it easier to reach, and I don't really care as much about when I'm taking them out. But that's flexing it side to side. But so what happens is here, I was using you guys can see inside there, there's nothing in there. It's just like a regular socket, but you can see it's got this on it so that you could put a wrench on the outside if you wanted to get in tighter spots with headers or whatever. But this one is the one I should have been using. If you can see in there, if you can see really close there, it's like got like a rubber piece in it, and that rubber stops it so that when it's flexing a little bit, it's not going to break the tip. It kind of stops that from happening. So it doesn't have the rubber in it. You could break it. It's not as big of a deal coming out unless you're reusing the plugs. But the new ones, if you're doing that, it'll do the same thing when you're putting it back in. So something to be aware of. But I'll show you. I said this thing's got 409,000 miles on it. 650,000 kilometers. Look at this. It looks like, I'm not even exaggerating, this looks like almost like a new one. That's crazy. There's a little bit of the electrode like stuck to this strap there, but other than that, pretty wild for it being that many miles. Good job, GM. No wonder these engines last forever. All right, back at it. All right, it's like the farther I get back on the engine, the harder it's getting to reach these. So I'm only on the second plug here. Slow task. You want to make sure when you try to thread them into, you go really gentle when you're kind of getting it lined up, because you don't want to hit the strap and lose the gap that's in them. Otherwise, it squeezes down the strap and tightens up. Make sure that you're not doing that. It actually looks like some of my plug wires. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at this one. Almost looks like it's maybe down the coil a little bit. I don't know if it just looks that way, but the oil dipstick is right in the way on these too. So I don't know if you could, I guess you could take that off, but I don't think it's in the way enough that I need to actually take it off. But I'm not going to change the coils. Coils are pretty freaking expensive on these engines now too, right? It's kind of funny. There's always the great debate of the fuel injection versus the carburetors, and some people say they want to carburate their vehicles on some of these like LS swap sites and things like that or whatever, and man, guys just get irate about it. Like, there's so much simplicity in these new LS motors, and it's so easy, and this and that. Well, I mean, there is things still though, like things still go wrong, so I don't think there's a necessarily a huge pro or con to going either way. It's do whatever works for you, man. Nothing wrong with a carburetor. Carburetors have been on everything for a bazillion years, and they still put them on things like small engines and stuff like that. So if they didn't work, they wouldn't be doing that. Don't just because somebody in a group or your buddy or something says don't carburate it, who cares? Doesn't really matter. It'll dump fuel in the engine just the same. It's been proven that carbs actually make a little bit more power. Will it get as good a fuel mileage? No, definitely won't. But it's a trade-off, right? You're gonna have to probably have some cold weather things, and if you're, I don't know, I've heard this. I've never particularly had this issue myself, but it could be an issue with elevation, and if you're racing and things like that, for example, and putting it together with and that's spinning a lot. Oh, there we go. Works better when I'm on it. Yeah, you could have to do things like jetting and stuff like that if you're racing at different parts around the country, for example, or whatever. If you were going to go to Colorado and race it at a track there, and then you're going to go to Oklahoma and race it there or whatever, there could be some things like that. But I mean, it's not like it's that hard to jet a carb these days. Pretty straightforward. There's so many good carbs out of the box too. Like there's some pretty incredible out of the box carbs that you can buy that just work. They've shown it. If you ever watch Engine Masters, they've shown it on Engine Masters. So many different series of Holly carbs and things like that just work right out of the box. They don't really require much tuning and things like that. I believe you could probably call Holly or some whoever you want to get your carb through. Edelbrock, freaking, I don't even know what's out there for brands these days, but I'm pretty sure you could probably call them up and say, here's what my combo is. What should I put on it? How much, and they would probably send it to you pre-jetted, I would think, if you're buying a new one. So, oop, missed a wire there. That back one's going to be pretty far in there. Okay, so put the coil wire back on the coil first. So I do it. Neighbors and their loud diesel. Some of them Cummins trucks, they get freaking loud and they get piped. I wonder here. So if you look at these, I will show you this too. I suspect, unless I'm just doing this wrong. See, these are. I'll show you guys these. So if you look at these old wires to the new wires, see how these have a spring? They're so easy to pull off of there. You know how you usually plug wires and they've been on for a long time? They're like super hard to pull off. You need a pair of pliers sometimes. These ones have a spring built into them, and I think that helped push it off. But I don't know if the actual wires are even bad, but with that many miles, I changed them. But look at these new wires compared to the old wires. I'm actually going to keep the old ones in case I have trouble here, but don't think those are going to come off as easy the next time. But again, it's what I got, and they are Delco supposedly. So it says they're 7mm. I wonder what these are. ACDelco premium silicone. Does not say how many millimeters there. 7mm seems pretty tiny for a modern engine, but maybe they don't need as much ignition. I don't know. But, all right, I'm going to throw it back on, I guess. That one's good there. So, all right, get on to the next ones. I don't think you guys want to watch me doing the next 6 more plugs and wires here. So, time lapse me. Just want to show you guys how far down that last spark plug and wire is in there. You literally have to be laying on your stomach all the way stretched out here. It's pretty uncomfortable in these new trucks. They shoved that engine so far back, but I will commend GM here. There's still access. It's not like it's impossible to reach or something like that, but you can see like that is way back there. The O2 sensor, on the other hand, I don't know how you'd ever change that thing. I think you'd have to actually pull the Y pipe off. Hopefully it's not that. Yeah, the one trick to these wires here, you look at the wires with them being how they are. You just grab it and you just start twisting it until it pops loose, where you can actually like fully rotate it. That once you've done that, then they'll pull right off there. So I'm not sure that I'm super happy with the new wires here, but said it's what I got, I guess. I don't know what else you could do. Maybe upgrade to an MSD or something like that, but strange that they wouldn't have been the same. So anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these, I wonder if these pull. Oh man, did I make a mistake here? I think I did. Oh, see, here we are learning something. Well, there you go. See, interesting. Well, I'm gonna pull them back off and slip these over them. That makes a lot more sense because this is what the new ones look like. Okay, well, there you go. We learned something. I'll get back at it. Okay, so I got all the passenger side ones done. The hardest ones there was the very back. I'm right-handed, so the left side I'm trying to reach in there and thread it back in with my left hand. And then the other hardest part was I obviously missed taking those shields off there, so I had to pull all the wires back off. It was like really hard to pull these new ones back off. They don't come with dielectric grease, which they used to all the time. It's not a thing anymore, I guess, so didn't put that on them. But anyways, yeah, I guess we'll start working on the driver's side here. I'll show you the condition of the plugs after we're done here. But yeah, not too bad of a job so far. You could probably have this done in an hour and a half kind of thing there. The hardest part is reaching in there. Apparently at the dealerships now that they have like a platform that you can just pretty much lay on your stomach on, and then it just slides into place there so they can reach at the back of a lot of these engines, because you can see how tight it is in here. So, but I'm going to start working on the other one. I always talk about this a lot. These tub of towels there, my hands were just filthy 2 seconds ago there. I use these all the time. I'm no way affiliated with them, but they're super impressive. I carry them in my truck and everything. The only thing I don't like about them is that when I do use them in my truck, I didn't realize this at first when I first started using them. And I'd wipe my hands. All right, so I got them all except for the first plug wire on this side, and there's a sensor right above it. I'm assuming that's probably like temperature for coolant temperature sensor, I'm assuming.
I'm trying not to hit that because I definitely don't want to break that. Um, I have some channel locks I've had forever. They all suck. If there's anybody around that sells channel locks, here's another pair I have I'm going to try. But I just want to show you guys like what kind of shape these are in. It's pretty wild if you look at them. Straighten out there. So that's the very first one I pulled out on the far left there. That's the only one that the electrode was All right, so you guys have seen me overheat my truck like probably 8 times in the last 2 months here. I thought I finally had the issue figured out. Maybe I have, not 100% sure. Seems like every time I fix something, something else starts to start having a little radiator hose dripping at the radiator. So tightened it up and then it kept dripping. So I put another hose clamp on there. I still smell antifreeze, but anyways, I've used probably, I don't even know, probably like 20 jugs of this Peak pre-mixed antifreeze in this thing. I don't use Dex Cool anymore. You do whatever you guys want. I don't like it because I feel like it's what wrecks head gaskets and intake gaskets and whatever else there. So this is what I've been using. 50-50 pre-mixed Peak antifreeze there. Works really good. So just pour it in and go. So I'm gonna add a little bit of it here before I fire it back up. It's like a hair low still, I think, from when it was dripping out of that hose the other day. I topped it off a little bit, but I didn't fill it too much. So just needs a little dash there, and then we'll see if this thing fires up and runs fine. So I just want to show you guys while I'm doing this. So I'm not making this up how many miles this thing has on it. Go through the whole spiel. Yada yada. Info. You can see 658,848 kilometers for the American people watching this. Let me fix that for you. This is how I normally run it, but I have Canadians watching me too. 409,389 miles on a gas. Pretty wild. So, no check engine light. Don't know if it's actually cleared itself or not. There's a possibility that it may come back once I drive it. It was misfiring under load. So another thing that has happened here, if you guys can hear that now that it's cold started. It's got that infamous exhaust kick now. It never had that before. That was never a problem. It had a little bit of a leak on this side at one time. I thought it was the manifold, and it wasn't. So after it got overheated that last time, both the exhaust manifolds were leaking out. So I'm sure you guys can hear that. So now it sounds like a tractor, and that's super annoying, but I don't know how much money or work that would cost to take that in and get it dealt with or whatever, but I'm not sure if I'm going to fix that or not. I know I should, but see. Anything's come back on here yet? Not yet, not yet. Pretty wild. Pretty much everything on this thing other than that water pump is original. You know, I've changed the transmission a couple times here now, so it's actually on the third transmission. Other than that, nothing really. I've always maintained, like, changed the diff in the oil, or the oil in the diffs, transfer case, all that kind of stuff. It is actually due for that again, probably overdue for that a little bit. I run it out pretty far on that kind of stuff, generally speaking. I run synthetic, usually AMSOIL or something along the lines of that. But yeah, I don't know. So far, seems to be all right there, other than the annoying exhaust tick. So see if it's actually fixed or not here, possibly. All right, guys, so I'm taking this thing for a drive. I have to go pick up some trailer tires. I had the tube blow out the other day there. Or actually, one blew out actually, and the other one was so bad I thought it was gonna blow out first. Actually, I was gonna do one more trip before I bought 4 new tires for it. I usually order them from Amazon, and they're like $200 with a rim and tire, and I just put 4 brand new rims and tires, and then I always have spare rims for my trailers. I typically, on my bigger trailer, I always carried 2 spares because I've actually had situations where one blew and it knocked the other one out. So I don't have room for that on this one, but I will put a new, like, at least a good spare on it. Anyways, I'm driving this thing, check engine lights off. I've already gone about 15 miles from my house there. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to come back on 2 minutes later. What's weird about it was this truck has never not had a check engine light, like briefly when I first bought it. But I mean, at least for sure a couple 100,000 miles has been on for. A couple little intermittent times where it just shut itself off and then turned back on. Obviously it's working now. So
we'll see if it stays off longer term here, but maybe it's been those plugs all along though. So like I showed you guys those plugs, like 7 of the 8 were like literally looked like they had only been in there for 10,000 miles, you know, like it was weird. But obviously, you know, GM's got the fuel mapping figured out on these things for how I use it anyways. I mean, it's pretty much just been a tow truck for me. I mean, the plugs look clean. They look like they're burning exactly how they should be burning. They're, you know, they're doing what they're supposed to do. So I don't know, it's kind of interesting there that I thought there would be nothing left of the actual of the strap on them there. So the fact that there is pretty impressive. So pretty happy with how that all went there. It's got new plugs and wires now. Hopefully that was the bulk of the problem. I don't hear any weird, like before it was like popping and banging really bad, like it was dumping fuel in and then it was building up and then boom, like actually like almost like not quite a backfire, but like a pop, like it burnt off like a burst of fuel. And I'm wondering if it was that one plug was so bad there, because there was only one plug there that was actually the electrode was burnt off on. So that's pretty wild. Yeah, probably the last time I'll ever do it in this truck, I would think, unless I change the engine at some point. I did find an engine with like 104,000 miles on it for like 1,700 bucks or something like that. I'm tempted to buy another vehicle, take this one into a shop, let them just switch it out while I'm still able to use the other truck for work or whatever, and maybe be able to just still, you know, keep rolling or whatever. I can't be without a truck. I use it all the time, so I guess we will see what happens here. But I mean, it's kind of one of those things, like I said before, I just don't fix things unless they're broken generally. Everything else is pretty much original on this other than the water pump. So I mean, don't want to say all this stuff too loud, but it's still got the original alternator on it. It's still got like the like everything. I mean, everything on the motor is pretty much original. It does have that oil leak, and that's starting to get obnoxious actually. This new trailer that I just got, or new used trailer, it's already getting oil all over it there. I don't know if it is the oil pressure sending unit. They did tell me that it wasn't the rear seal supposedly the last 2 times the transmission was out, so I don't know what to say there. But that's, other than that, really, that's about it. So pretty happy with how this truck has been working for me. Man, I mean, who could complain about having 400,000 miles on a gas truck and it's still running like a freaking Swiss watch, you know? Like, it's pretty crazy. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you. Oh. I think my AirPods are acting up or something there. It was doing like a weird thing there. It sounded like it shut off. So you can hear my trailer dinging. That's about the only thing that really is driving me crazy. I changed the switch on it. That fixed it for a little while, and then it came back. So I bought the trailer module for the back. It's underneath the spare tire there. It's like I went straight to GM and got the actual GM one there. It was like almost $200. Replaced that. It fixed it for a while again, actually, a little brief bit there, and then it came back. So the only other thing I haven't really changed is the plug, and it doesn't look like the plug's bad, but, and it's weird too, like I was hauling my small tractor the other day with it, and it didn't do it for forever. Like I drove it for like a couple hundred miles there and it didn't do it, so I don't understand. That's very strange. Like it's almost like a vibration thing, so unless there is just like a rub through wire somewhere or something. But anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, share on social media, and make sure you comment, you know, help share me around and stuff. It helps the algorithm. It helps me grow there. So if you guys just put a comment in, if you guys want to hear other things or see other things. I still haven't got a project vehicle to replace my C10 yet. If you guys know of anything, I'm open to anything that's kind of just weird and random or whatever. So just let me know in the comments there. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one.